Going live on Friday the 13th on 92.5 WLSD, The Vault.
I don't know, where to begin. We are North Americans, and for those of you who still...
Hello, Conchetta. Hello, everyone out there on Facebook and listening live.
We bid our planes and our trades till we think we might die. Far from North America, where the buildings are old, and you might have lots of mimes.
It's going to be a good show tonight. Going to be a fun show tonight. Originally going to do Real Talk Friday the 13th, the very first movie. But other plans have occurred. I'm sorry for that. So I'm going to get into some discussions, some topics tonight, and talk a little bit about people trying to keep you from doing what you need to do to get through this life. Because it's not worth it. It's not worth it to have to constantly deal with people that are trying to fight against you every step of the way. You don't want that. I don't want that. You know, I might take a break a little bit after this show. I'm not sure. Not really completely decided what to do. It's been a little bit of a crisis the last couple of weeks. And never really sure where it's going. Vague, I know. Just the opening. Just the opening. Now, do you all ever, if you want to go check out the other stuff, you can go to the Other People's Show on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Spotify. Do check out all the past shows that have been up. It's been a lot of fun. It's been some good times. We've done some really fun and interesting things, and I know the show is heading in a positive direction. But there are people trying to constantly bring me and the show down. Now you're thinking, this could all be in your head. This could all be made up. But it isn't all in my head. And it isn't made up. Because it seems like on a weekly basis that I do have forces out there, forces meaning people, several people, trying to put up roadblocks for me to have to maneuver around mentally every day. And, there's been a lot of, I recently started to move into a new place. Hopefully setting up a studio and such there. And that has been a train wreck every step of the way also. And it's just like, can we have one day where there's not a problem? Can we have one day where there's peace? Can we have one day where there aren't lies being told? Now, this is a question that I'm often curious about. How do people out there, the people out there in radio land, in social media land, in Facebook land, all that, how do you navigate with people that do not listen? And when I say listen, I'm not actually talking about doing what I say. I'm actually talking about listening with your ears, hearing what someone else is saying. And when they do not hear what you're saying, they cannot comprehend what you're saying because they've not even heard it to begin with. Hey, Felicia. Now, there's been a battle going on between me, and some close people that I do care about, and some close people that I do not want to be arguing or feuding with. But it seems that's what it always is. And it does seem that it's often that way on days or nights that I do a radio show. I do The Dark Place on Wednesdays typically. I did it last night. Tonight was supposed to be Real Talk. Friday the 13th. Possibly even Friday the 13th plus Jason Takes Manhattan. That was derailed because last night was derailed. This afternoon was derailed. And I wasn't able to go ahead and type out the itinerary and go ahead and do the research needed to do in order to get the proper show out there for everyone to enjoy. That was unable to happen. Because last night what happens is I go back to my place and a friend is there. And hello, mate, Amanda. And when I get back after doing The Dark Place, there's a drunken rant going on, and I'm subjected to probably 50 to 100 cuss words, tirade, hate coming toward me. Now, I'm not going to play innocent. In the past, I have done things that I'm not proud of, as we all have. But as of last night, I just had been back into the door inside, maybe 10 minutes at most. And then this tirade occurs on me. So therefore, last night, I wasn't able to rewatch Friday the 13th, the first one. And it had been so many years since I'd seen it, which I'd only seen it one time, that I did not think that it was suitable for me to go ahead and go on air and do a live show about Friday the 13th. Because when I come on and do the shows, I want to bring you informative information. I want to have fun with it. And I want to tell you all maybe some things that you didn't know about said movie. So last night, unable to do so. This morning, I had some things to do. And was planning on, after I did the chores, to go ahead and watch the movie again. Or rewatch, because I'd watched about half of it last night. Rewatch the rest. Unable to do that because another tirade began. So what do you do with someone that constantly wants to bicker and fight? And when you call that person out about certain things, they say, oh, you're gaslighting me. Oh, you're projecting. When in reality, the facts are, I'm telling you, I'm not giving you my perspective. I'm not telling you how I think about what's happened. I'm telling you the cold hard facts. This is what has happened. Whether or not you believe what has happened is on you. Because I have zero reason to lie about anything. I use this as a forum, an entertainment forum, giving advice, although I should never give advice to anyone, things like that. But what do you do when you're constantly being pushed and battled and lied about? What do you do when you do nothing but try to help someone? And this is not just a retaliation against one person. This is a couple of people. A couple of people that this is happening to. Well, battling me. And I hear, cut ties. And I've thought about cutting ties. But can you really cut ties? I mean, can you really do so? I don't know if you can. It's not easy to do. And it's affecting, and you all may have had this as well, but things that affect every aspect of your life. This afternoon, I sold my car a couple of weeks ago. So when I sold my car, I did not expect the very next week to fall into this apartment that I fell into. So I've been carless a couple of, since September 23rd. So I've been using, friends' vehicles. My mother on occasion comes and gets me and takes me where I need to go because she doesn't have to go a lot of different places. But, once again this afternoon, picking me up from work, as soon as I get in the vehicle, it started. So what ended up happening is that, she started her mouth, and then what does she do? Drops me off on the side of the road. So this is like 6:30, 6:45 or so, probably 6:30. So I'm unable to finish the show. I am unable to, write the itinerary, because originally I wasn't going to do Friday the 13th. I was going to do Halloween H2O, but I thought, tonight's Friday the 13th. It's in October. I want to get into a good Halloween-esque mood, and why not be able to do it tonight? But every step of the way that I take in life, there's these barricades constantly. And they're the barricades that if I do cut the ties with, then I'm the bad guy. Then I'm the bad person. Because I'm trying to look out for my mental stability. So, if cutting ties isn't really the answer, what would be the answer? Moving away? Would that be the answer? Selling a house? I mean, that's the real issue. That's a big issue. That's the big issue, because what's happened is my grandmother died a couple of years ago. She left me the house, left me with a little bit of the money, and my mother has resented that ever since then. So therefore, it's constant messages to me. Oh, can you go do this? Oh, can you go do that? Oh, can you go do this? Oh, can you lend me $35 for this? Oh, can you do that? Oh, I'm not feeling well. Can you stop and get me a slushie? In the meantime, she's bringing home, 2 dogs that I did love, that I do love. I would not want anything bad to happen to them. But bringing them home and using, instead of training them to go outside like you should do, getting a doggy pads. Now, doggy pads or whatever might be good in early stages of training. You might think so. I disagree. It's a lazy person's way of not having to take your dog outside. Who's had to clean up the poop and the pee? It's been me. It has been me. So, what do you do in this kind of situation? Do you cut the ties from those loved ones? Do I up and say, listen, I'm selling this house. You can have half the money. I'm taking half the money, and I've cut you out. Do you cut your own family out of your life? Do you cut certain loved ones that you really deeply care about out of your life? And if you do, what do you need to do in order to navigate through that? Because I don't think it's an easy task to do. Some people are able to do that very, very easily. They're able to cut people out and move forward, and there not be a problem. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit more sensitive, and I do have a problem with hurting people's feelings. I do have a problem with, being mean to others. But what do I really have? You could say, well, you just met Jacob Dylan last week. You just went to a concert and fun. Yeah, that was fun. But you really know how much fun I have per week? Not much. Not much. The only fun, or the only thing that I truly enjoy, are the occasions when I get to go out of town, or get to actually get in front of the microphone and do the radio show, which I'm not doing to the way that I want to do it. And also, whenever getting, getting to, do the short films or the movies and such like that. This is a candid show tonight. We were off last week. The week before, Tyler Payne had his film, Psycho Silico Solutions, which is a good film. I recommend. He's going to be showing it again, so you definitely need to check that out. And a lot of good things going on with Anthony Wayne. He's been on tour for a little bit. That's why he's not been there. But what do you do when you feel like the walls are closing in? What do you do when you feel like you don't have anything else more to give? And these are questions that I'm not just asking you, I'm asking myself. Because trust me, I don't want to be sitting here at 10:23 on Friday, October 13th, talking about what I'm talking about. I did have the itinerary for Halloween H2O because I watched that. I was going to do that. I was going to do Friday the 13th. And then I also thought about, just for fun, doing a double episode of Jason Takes Manhattan. A lot of people think that's one of the worst. I'm getting questions, would they agree to therapy? That's a good question. That is a good question. Therapy has been mentioned multiple times. Not just for other said person, myself as well. I would agree to that. But the thing is, also, and these are, I'm not just singling out one person. This is a couple different people. But how do you deal with chronic interrupter? How do you deal with someone that you cannot say one sentence without them interrupting you? And when they're interrupting, they're not hearing or listening to what you're saying because they're talking over you. And when I say this, I'm not really saying this with any harsh tone, because I really want to know. I really care and love these people. And I want to know how to navigate through this. And am I the only one that's had to deal with this? I can't be the only person. I can't be the only person. And it's also like, if I've had, 3 or 4 people pass away, they've had 8 or 9 people pass away. If I've had, if I did, 25 jumping jacks, they did 30. It's always like some kind of a competition. And that's not what I want. And I'm really wondering if it's better to just go solo. Just be single, lead a solitary life. You be nice and friendly when you see these other people. Hello. You're cordial to everyone that you meet. There's no need to be rude. But is it just better to go back to your place, do whatever you need to do? In my case, it would be write or, record, whatever it may be. And the only time other than, side hustles or work is the only time you really, really interact with people. I've tried not to be that way. I've tried not to be that way at all. And, maybe trying not to be that way has made it the way it is now. I don't know. I mean, could this be a possible midlife crisis? It could be. I don't know. Could it just be daily annoyances? No, it's more than a daily annoyance. Because even though, like the other night, I had a little bit of a mental breakdown. But even then, I did have people reach out and say, I really enjoy your work. Please, I care about you. And that's what I need. For once, I need somebody to hold me. I need somebody to tell me, it's going to be okay. Because most often, it's always been about other people's feelings and other people, how they react, what they're dealing with, and my feelings don't seem to matter. That's how it feels. And I don't really expect you to care out there. I'm just expressing how I feel, and maybe you have felt that way as well. And just to let you know that you're not alone. Because oftentimes I do feel alone. Oftentimes I do. And, I guess that's how it goes sometimes. I mean, I don't know. All I know is that I try to do a entertaining show. I was hoping to do a really fun show tonight for Friday, October 13th. Friday the 13th, which is what I was going to do also. But, I just don't know anymore. I don't know what the future holds anymore. On that note, we're going to listen to Fences by Phoenix on 92.5 WLSD, The Vault.
Necessary silhouette, unknown Johnny
And that was Fences by the band Phoenix on 92.5 WLSD, The Vault. Hey, Aaron, thanks for tuning in. I do appreciate everyone sharing their thoughts and cares and concerns. That does make me feel good. Probably the best thing of the day. But do you all typically have Good Friday the 13th? Is it supposed to be bad? I mean, I know it's like the myth, the man, the myth, the legend, the 13th. You've got Jason Voorhees. He's out wandering about. But thank you, Amy. She just just said I was a blessing to others, so that's nice to hear. I don't really feel that way very often. I'm often told that, I'm mean, heartless, cruel. And I can be those things. I guess we all can be those things. But I need somebody to not be those things to me. I need stability. I need somebody that wants to help me reach my goals, and I'm going to help them reach their goals, whatever their goals may be. So, I don't know where it's going to go tonight, guys, ladies and gents. I do deeply apologize that this wasn't an episode of Real Talk. That kind of makes me feel bad because we had last Friday, which I took off. And then this week, we don't really have a Real Talk, and I went on with the other people's show an hour early. So that was very nice of WLSD to allow me to do that, so I do appreciate them as well. They've got some great programming on 93.5 WAXM, so please go there on their Facebook and on the dial and check them out as well. They've got a lot of good things going on over there. Adam and the crew over there, really great things going on. But yeah, so, we've got Friday the 13th here, so let's talk about that a little bit. What are some of your alls? Do you all have any traditions on Friday the 13th? Do you have any superstitions? I never was really superstitious. A lot of people when they purchase something, if it's like 666, like $6.66, they buy something else just so it won't be that. Or, they don't want to walk under a ladder, or they don't want to accidentally, cut off someone's leg, or, eat sushi when they're have an allergic allergy to fish or something. But what are some of the things that you all have superstitions about? Because I don't think, a lot of people, and I guess I could say this, back, and I don't really do it now, but I used to only turn my radio dial was on even numbers. Like it would go to maybe 40, maybe 50, and I would turn it on 24, or maybe 25, maybe put it right in the middle. And I did that for a long, long time, but I never, now looking back, I'm thinking, did I do that out of some kind of superstition, or did I just do that to be, try to be different, try to be unique? Who knows? But yeah, it's a 10:35 on this Friday, October 13th. So I hope you all are having a great and wonderful, hello Monica, a great and wonderful night. Now I do suggest, I've got a couple movies to suggest if you all want to do that. Now obviously you can go the route that I was going to go. You've got an assortment of Friday the 13th movies, all the way Jason X. And then you've got the reboot of Friday the 13th that came out, I think, in 2009. And it's pretty much been, the series and franchise has been stagnant since then. So there has not been, if you think about it, and I'm sure you probably not, a new Friday the 13th movie in 14 years. This is the longest span of time that there's been between franchises. And there, every once in a while, there's some reports that a new one will come out, but there's some kind of dispute going on with the rights. So who's to say when it's going to happen? Now, you can always go the Nightmare, I was going to say Nightmare Before Christmas, which you could do that as well, but Nightmare on Elm Street, you could do that. Now, one time, I was probably, this will age myself, it was 1991, and my friend Seth and I had went to watch Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare. And if you remember, we had a movie theater in Coburn, and there was one in Wise across from the Wendy's. So, but this one was playing in Coburn, and if you remember that cinema, it had 3 theaters. Cinema 1, which is near the restrooms. Cinema 2, which was on the right side of the concession stand. And then Cinema 3, which was the furthest one from Freddy's Your Favorite. Now, so I never had really seen... I'd seen one part of the very first Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, this was in 1991. So when I was younger, for a couple of years, I lived in Washington State. So when I was there, I sometimes hung out with this kid named Anthony. And Anthony was, he seemed like he was going to be a troublesome person. He would do things like turn his eyelids, like somehow he was able to flip the top of his eyelids up, and you can see the inside of the eyelid, and it always grossed me out. And often, I would never really go into his house, but we lived in Navy apartment housing. So when I would go over to his housing unit, he, often his family would be watching horror movies. Silver Bullet was one of them. That was the first time that I'd seen RoboCop, the devastating murder of Alex Murphy in the scene. And I'd also seen the scene in Nightmare on Elm Street, the very first one with Johnny Depp. And what happens? He gets does he get sucked into the waterbed? I can't recall. It's been a while since I've seen it. But I know the blood gets splattered all over the ceiling. So that was the only real introductions to horror movies that I would have, because I lived in, I don't want to say it was a strict household, but we never really watched horror movies and things of that nature. Fast forward a couple of years, Seth and I go watch Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare in Coburn Cinema. And the end of the movie was in 3D actually. So, and I haven't seen the movie since then. But at the very end of the movie, I don't recall exactly what happens, but I do know that Freddy's head is huge, and it starts. I think other Freddy heads start popping out of his head and going into the audience. That's what I remember, because it said like put on glasses or glasses now, whatever it may be. But beforehand, I get up, I go to the restroom, and you could, the walls were kind of thin, so you could actually hear the movie going on while you're, using the restroom. So when that's going on, I can hear a death scene from the Freddy Krueger movie. And it's a scene where one of the guys, I think he's deaf in the movie, and he gets a Q-tip ran through his ear. And I didn't actually see that part, but I heard it. And then later that night, I had a night terror. I used to have night terrors all the time. And that was one of the night terrors that I remember having, was that sparked it. Like, I would have them pretty bad. Oh, this is kind of spooky. I can't listen to any more of that. That's kind of creeping me out. Sorry. It was the Freddy, for the people watching online, it was the 1-2 Freddy's Coming for You. But I used to have night terrors to the point of where I would get up and run. Like, I would run in the middle of the night down the street and not really remember what's going on. And then I would wake up the next day and I would have like see this bruise. There's a bruise. I don't know if the people can see this, but there is a bruise on my left bicep, and it's where I had a night terror last week. I got up, I ran down the hall, and And at the time, it's very weird. I know what I'm doing. I know that I'm going down the hall. I know that I'm running out in the woods or down the street. But it's almost like a lucid dream. And then when you wake up and, the next day, you don't know if it's real or if it isn't real. And the only way that I really know that it was real, because there's been several. I woke up in a van one time. We had a Lumina van, Chevy Lumina van. It was like a dark blue, and if you remember, I don't see those vans anymore at all. You don't really see vans much, but it was like it had like the very triangle-ish tip, the front of the vehicle, and I woke up sitting in that one time, and then the next morning when I woke up, to go to school, I had like a cut on my knee. My knee had been had bled where I had fallen and hit the gravels. So that was a regular occurrence. I would say probably the night terrors were probably, I don't know, if I had to be honest with you, I would say probably 6 to 9 times throughout my life. I mean, there's a lot of those things, and I don't know if that's a thing anymore. I don't have children, so I don't really know. I'm sure everyone still has nightmares occasionally. But I don't know if the night terror thing is like is a rare thing, or if it's something that kids have, just due to watching something scary. Because, you could watch something scary or watch something funny and maybe dream about it, this or that. But maybe it was where I never really did watch that many scary movies when I was younger. That could have been it as well. But I do know that Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare, made me have a night terror. And sometimes I would wake up and it would be screaming. Like I would just remember screaming and crying and having my parents, having my mother try to calm me down. Very odd thing. So I luckily, I've not had one since last week. And that's why I have that huge, I mean, you can see it probably, the people watching online, there's probably, I would say it's the size of maybe a Post-it notepad, but more circular on my left bicep. Hello, Pamela. Thank you for tuning in. And thanks, everyone, for tuning in to 92.5 WLSD, The Vault. You're listening to the Other People's Show. But, Freddie, if I had to choose, I go through, and I pretty much, even now to this very day, I watch a horror movie almost every single night. And the reason being is that often, other than, maybe the death scenes or something, they're relatively quiet. They're not that loud. So they're kind of easy to, to drift off to, if you do drift off to a movie or something like that. Because if you have a comedy, you've got laughter. You got, if you have an action movie, you have like, gun battles and things like that. A drama, I guess a drama could be kind of quiet as well. But I do find the horror movies are a great way to fall asleep. Maybe that's why I have night terrors. I don't know. The movie Seven, although not a horror movie, a really good movie to fall asleep to. And I love the movie Seven. It's one of the best serial killer movies of all time. Even perhaps it could be the best. You've got Silence of the Lambs, but you also have Seven, and I think Seven is done just a little bit better than Silence of the Lambs.